We're going to do things a little bit differently today. We are going to set up the Curio 2 step by step together, get the project going, and then we're going to go back to the software and figure out how we got to this point while it's running. We're doing a heat foil project today, and anytime you're working with a sketch type project, whether you're engraving or heat foiling or sketching, it does take quite some time for the machine to complete. So we're kind of going backwards, but it'll all make sense in the end. The first thing you want to do in setting up your Curio 2 is to grab your adhesive mat and some masking tape. We're going to secure this mat so that it is butt up against these little notches in the debris tray. I like to tape down each side so that I know it's not going to move around on me. The next thing you want to do is to take a piece of cardstock and place it in the upper left-hand corner of the adhesive mat. And I'm going to take the vinyl that I need for the brush stroke and place it down in the bottom left-hand corner. So I have my cardstock at the top, my vinyl at the bottom. We're going to select our template for the blank in the software and click on cut. And we are going to select the brush stroke and click on cut. Now we can click on send. Our dialog box will pop up and click on send again. It's going to auto detect the thickness of our material. Adjust the blade. It's going to do kind of a little test cut when it's done here. And then it will cut out our template, and then it'll move on to cutting out the brush stroke. I may need to clean out my blade. The brush stroke did not cut very well. We'll see if we can salvage that in a minute. Now, in order to use the template, we need to remove the piece that was cut out. We are going to leave the rest of it stuck to the mat. My mat is extremely sticky, so I like to pull this up and then get a hold of the corner of the template and pull that out. Then I can set that corner right back down in there. If you're working with acrylic blanks, chances are high that it has a protective coating on each side. You want to go ahead and remove that before you place the blank in that slot. Now this blank fits perfectly in that hole. You want to press down just a little bit to make sure that it sticks. The next step is to cut a piece of foil large enough to cover your blank. And we're going to work on taping it down. I have these little tape strips that came with some foil, but regular masking tape will work as well. You want to also make sure that the tape is not going to interfere with the heat foiling. Kind of want to keep the tape up off of the blank area. You want your foil pulled tightly so that there aren't any wrinkles, if possible. Back to the software, click on the template and the brush stroke and switch those to no cut. Then we're going to click on the word seriously, and we are going to go ahead and switch that to sketch. My heat pen is already heated up, so we can click on send. The dialog box pops up again, and you want to click on send again. It is doing the heat foiling now, and we can take a look at what's going on in the software while this finishes up. Okay, so this is what our send screen will eventually look like, but let's take a look at the design. For my page setup, I have the Curio 2 selected. This actually should be set to a debris tray, but apparently it's not causing any issues. I have the 12 by 12 cutting mat, and I have my media size set to 12 by 12 as well. I created the template for my keychain with a rounded rectangle. I just grabbed a rounded rectangle from the drawing tools, held that down, and drew it out. And then I switched the size up. My blank was 2.75 for the width and 1.275 for the height. Now we can right click and convert that to path, and that's how you create the template for your blank. If you're working with a round keychain, you would grab an ellipse, hold down your shift key and pull that out and adjust the size for it. If you're working with a 2-inch keychain, you can lock your aspect ratio button and just enter 2 here, and that would be the template for your round keychain. Now, it's very important that once you have your template cut out, you do not move this template here. This is how you are going to line up your design, whether you're etching or using heat foil or the sketch pens, whatever. This is going to help make sure that your design is in the right space. So once this is cut out of the cardstock, you do not want to move it. Now for the foiling design, I just typed out the word seriously, question mark. I used the font Solitude. I got this from Creative Fabrica, and I can put a link in the description for you. So let's go ahead and duplicate this for a minute. I don't want to mess around with this other stuff because it is still working on the foiling. Let's switch seriously to a different color and bring it to the front and get it sized up so that it fits our template. Now with that selected, you can open up your sketch panel, and I chose an outline and I chose the stripe effect. After that, I adjusted my angle to a -45. I like mine on a diagonal. This is really just a matter of your preference. And then I brought down the spacing until it looked like it was all filled in. And then I released the effects. This brush stroke came from a bundle from Creative Fabrica as well. And I just set that on the bottom so that I could have my letter size template up at the top and still have room for my little piece of vinyl for that to cut out. Now on the send page, to start off, you want to select the template and the brush stroke and set those to cut. So click on the template, hold down the shift key, click on the brush stroke, and then click on cut. The machine, as you saw, will go through and cut those out. Once it's done cutting those, you're going to click on No Cut. You will select your word or whatever you want to foil, and you are going to set it to sketch. You can make your own settings for the heat pen. I just have not done that yet, and I want to make a different video on that. So when you're using the heat pen, you turn on the Curio 2, it will detect the heat pen. It will ask you if you want it turned on. Click on Turn On Now and it will start heating up. But you can see here I have the option to auto foil or the option to sketch. Again, I don't have a setting at this time for auto foil, so I chose sketch, and these settings work just fine. This has finished up. Let's go ahead, take off the foil sheet and see how it did. Can pop that right up off of there. It is stuck well. It looks really, really good. I'm going to run and get a little bit of soapy water put on the back of this so I can do a wet application with the vinyl. That's going to help it adhere to the acrylic without any air bubbles. I'm just going to lift the brush stroke up off of the mat here. I'm not going to use transfer tape because it's just one piece. And when you're doing the wet application, you can set it down and reposition it before you completely commit. Once you have it set in place, then you can take and smooth all of the extra water out from underneath it, and it will adhere. Now I do have a little bit of vinyl covering the hole. I'm just going to take care of that with my X-Acto knife here. You can press it down so that it's in there. And then just press on the edge of the acrylic with the X-Acto knife, and it trims it perfectly to the hole. You want to take a couple pair of needle nose pliers to open up the jump ring on your keychain ring. I do have 2 pair of needle nose pliers, but one has apparently sprouted legs and walked off. So I'm very carefully using a pair of wire snips along with a pair of needle nose pliers. You just set the keychain down in there and then close that up. And then you can take your second jump ring, put that through the little hook on the tassel, and connect that to the actual key ring. Anyway, I think that turned out absolutely adorable. The foil is permanent, super shiny, definitely worth giving this project a try.